the plant in exchange for what it's giving us. That's what I hear you saying. Yeah. What's the giveaway? The giveaway is the exchange. And what I've learned from the plants is an understanding of our proper role, and my particular role in life on this planet. That's the whole this whole thing of this Gaia conference, the Green Earth work that I was mentioning to you. That's what I learned from the plants. That's what was emphasized, and that's what I've learned from previous non-drug, non-plant involved shamanic kinds of experiences, vision quest, or however induced. Similar kinds of communication with animals. I had dreams with animals like whales and dolphins, or these plant spirits telling me, okay, here's what the situation. You understand the situation. Once you understand the situation that we find ourselves in, once you really face it, as Terence said, there is only one course of action that's possible for all of us. I'm convinced. I mean, it has many different forms. You know, realizing the Gaia, the place of the earth that we're at, and what we're doing in our blindness and stupidity is tantamount in a way. It's another aspect. It's the reverse side of this vision that Terence is talking about. It's the vision that once you see it, it's incontrovertible, and it's inescapable, and you know what has to be done. And it's just a matter of time and having the grace, and then to not get caught in despair or cynicism, all of which are possible outs that we've all used. Despair, cynicism, or escape, blotto, denial, burying ourselves in career, blah, 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 whatever, and just getting on with it. Clean up our act. Clean up our act. Over to you, sir.
Well, I think what a person who has a relationship with an ally plant gets out of it is an enriched and balanced inner life. What the plant gets out of it is a human being with an enriched and balanced inner life. And that feeds back then into stewardship, an inspiration for caring. We then notice that we have this partner, and agriculture was the first great example of human-plant symbiosis, and it was very important to the plants involved. They went from being rare grassland endemics to being great monocultural crops. And orthodox biologists say that successful reproductive strategy signifies successful evolution. So you can say what people got out of taking mushrooms in ancient Africa was increased visual acuity, better sex, and ultimately a rich inner life of cognition. But what the mushroom got out of it was cultivation, and by being associated with cattle, becoming like an episome on the main genetic heritage of human beings. Because when we finally do go to Aldebaran and Procyon, we will take cattle with us, and presumably we will take beans and peas and hemp and spinach. They are the cloud of genes that have managed to insinuate themselves into a relationship with human beings, so that our fate is their fate. And if the sun gutters out and is left behind by us as we radiate out through the galaxy, we will take with us dogs, cats, goldfish, runner beans, morning glories, ayahuasca, but not everything.
And is that your finding, both of you, in terms of that being the ideal or that being the sense that you personally carry? Is that your finding in the people that you work with, this birth of feeling of stewardship?
Yes, I think so. That you can't take these things without facing the facts of the historical crisis, our legacy, our bad behavior, so forth. And that when you face that, then you have to have recourse to some kind of stewardship. I don't know people who are seriously into psychedelics who don't want to change things. I don't know of anybody who says, I take psychedelics and I'm perfectly contented with the world the way it is. Then I wanted to say something else about ritual, and here again I take a controversial position, and it never would have occurred to me to take this position except that the mushroom told me this. This is straight from the shoulder. Said, ritual is a substitute for understanding. Its exact words. And I said, I don't get it. Said, if you understand, you have no need of ritual. Ritual is like a mnemonic device for touching something deeper, which is in danger of being lost. So I recall a situation where I was in the Amazon and we were collecting ayahuasca plants, myself and a young botanist who was Peruvian but very westernized. And we chopped through the ayahuasca bush, and we hadn't talked for a long time. And then as we were chopping it up and putting it into the bags to carry it out of the forest, he said to me, "Don't you think that we should have done a ritual and blown tobacco smoke over it and asked the plant permission to cut it?" None of which we had done. But as we had cut the plant, this had all been going through my mind, and I felt that the moment was so intense that ritual would have been a trivializing of it. And so then I realized that what ritual is for is to ignite attention. That's all. And you must have attention. And Ralph was very good to bring up intentionality, which is a state of attention to what you're doing. And when you incinerate a bud of cannabis or cut an ayahuasca plant or gather mushrooms, it's not necessary to perform a ritual, but it's an abomination to have an empty head at that moment. I mean, you must feel what you're doing. You must be aware that a gift is coming to you, that a life is being sacrificed so that you can deepen your experience. So I don't know if this goes to your question. Ultimately, the give-take question, I think, can be dissolved in that it really is an in-out question. What do I take? What do I give? The planet is a gene swarm, and there is only one destiny for life on this planet. It is the destiny of all of it. And when we take these plants, we are synergized to higher states of intellectual activity. This creates redistributions in the patterns of propagation and growth of the plants. We are inside some kind of huge natural control mechanism. We cannot fail to be in Tao, but we can fail to recognize that we're in Tao. And so it's always a task of bringing back attention and reclaiming a feeling of authenticity in the moment.
I guess I would reformulate your statement about ritual being a substitute for understanding in two ways. One is that I see ritual as a framework for communication and a framework for structuring your intention. The kind of ritual you perform comes out of your intention. So if your ritual is empty, a ritual empty of intention or consciousness is just that, an empty substitute for the real thing. And I also realize that, especially if you're alone, and going through that kind of an experience, as long as you are clear about your intention and you're going about what you're doing with the maximum of consciousness that you can, you are in fact doing a ritual. You're doing the essence of ritual. And when you're out in the wilderness and you do everything with as much consciousness as you can, every morsel that you eat, when you take a shit, everything, when you breathe, when you brush your face, brush your teeth, or sweep your campsite, everything becomes a ritual, which means simply that you have clear intention and clear maximal awareness. Your